The Kansas City Chiefs just won Super Bowl 58 earlier this week, and everybody's naturally talking about it, right? We're all talking about Patrick Mahomes, who won Super Bowl MVP. We're talking about Travis Kelce, who had a big game, had a little bit of a situation with his coach, and of course was able to kiss Taylor Swift on the field after the game, the big winner of the game, obviously. Everyone's talking about Chris Jones, who had a massive impact. Everyone's talking about Trent McDuffie, who played one of the best corner games we've seen in recent memory in the Super Bowl. But there are a couple guys on the Chiefs' defense that simply are not getting enough credit for their major contributions to this game. And because I'm me, and I like talking about the guys that nobody else is talking about, that's who we're going to talk about today. There are 3 players we are going to focus on for this video. Those 3 players are Leo Chenal, who is one of the best run-defending linebackers in football, the highest graded player from their game by according to PFF. Mike Pennel, another fantastic run defender, the big nose tackle, also highly graded by PFF. And Shamari Connor, the safety rocking the number 27, who had a very big game both in run defense and in coverage. So we're going to take a look at those 3 guys, take a look at some of their biggest plays from the game, the impact they had on the Chiefs' big win over the 49ers in Super Bowl 58. But before we jump into that, please make sure to leave a like down below as it helps out the channel a ton, shows your support, shows you care, all that good stuff. And also make sure to subscribe as I'm going to have a bunch more football content coming your way throughout the offseason. We're going to go back, take a look at some guys from the regular season, take a look at some of the playoff performances. We'll be looking at rookies. A bunch of film reviews are coming your way throughout the offseason. I'm really excited. We're going to keep that going all the way through summer. Even after the NFL draft, we're still going to be talking about film. We've also got other NFL stuff planned. So if you're into the NFL, you'll definitely not want to miss any of that, so make sure you subscribe. And comment down below any players you want to see me talk about. You know, you can comment a player in a specific week. You want me to talk about their season as a whole. Whatever it may be, just let me know. But without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about our unsung heroes of Super Bowl 58. All right, this is one of the bigger plays of the first quarter, possibly the biggest play, and that is the Christian McCaffrey fumble. So we're going to take a look at Leo Chenal and Mike Pennel here, their contributions on this play, because they're the 2 that actually go through and force the fumble. First of all, let's take a look at San Francisco here. We've got Kyle Juszczyk. We've got George Kittle. They're both lined up at tight end here. We've got some 12 personnel. Christian McCaffrey is your only back, and this is going to be a toss to him. The offensive line side of things, you're down blocking everywhere, so down block there. These 2 are going to double team Mike Pennel. This is not the path the guard takes, I promise. And then this guard here is going to block whoever ends up in this gap, which is going to be Leo Chenal, who's trying to blitz. It's a run blitz on his part. And then down block there, etc., right? And then also once the center gets to the second level, he's going to take on whoever ends up being here, which is going to be Nick Bolton. That's why I went to him immediately. But all that being said, we know the blocking assignments. We know what's going to go on. So let's go ahead and see how this defense attacks it. So Chenal creeps up to the line of scrimmage here. He's going to take on this guard one-on-one. And because of his size and his strength, he's 6'2", 250, one of the stronger linebackers in the league. He is able to successfully take on guards one-on-one in the run game. His ability in the run game is incredible. He was PFF's highest graded run defender throughout the playoffs. He's a monster. So in this instance, however, we're going to see him kind of get put in a disadvantageous situation, but he does recover from it very well. So from this angle, this guard ends up getting a lot of the leverage, or not a lot of the leverage in terms of like actual leverage, but leverage in terms of having control of the situation. So you can start to see right here, this is not good for Chenal. His feet are pointing 2 different directions. You can see this foot's going that way. This foot's kind of going inward. So they're pointing 2 different directions. He's low. He's kind of looking at the ground here. Not a great spot. However, he recovers beautifully from this and is able to regain his balance, get that second push up into the guard's chest, and now he has all the control. This hand placement right here on the guard's chest is huge. Because he has that placement there, he's able to regain the leverage. His feet are now in a better spot, and he's actually going to take the momentum of this guard pushing him upfield, and he's going to cut it back inside and kind of spin and put himself in the lane, right? McCaffrey's trying to run the ball through here. Once this Center ends up picking up Nick Bolton. It's either the lane's going to be straight or he's going to try to hit a cutback, whatever. Uh, Leo Chanel is going to make sure that doesn't happen. Now, cutting over to Mike Pennell, obviously we've got him as the nose tackle here, so he's getting double teamed on this play. They know he's a real savvy run defender. What I like a lot about this play is his eyes are in the backfield the whole time. He's got two guys on him. He doesn't care. He is staring down this handoff. Once this ball is in McCaffrey's hands, and once that center disengages, Pennell also is not in the most advantageous situation. If you see a lineman with a defensive lineman specifically, with their hands vertical, like up in the air, and his head tilted back, that's not a great sign. That means that this center right here got really good push, and he's going to go take care of this linebacker. However, because Pennell is such a strong defensive tackle and is so savvy as a run defender, he's able to kind of regain himself. You can see right here. And now, feeder set, eyes in the backfield. He has control of this situation. You can't see it, but his hand, that's Willie Gay's hand, but his hand is also in the chest of the defender, or of the lineman there. So now, what's going to end up happening is Pennell does a great job of reaching across, getting his arm out, and he gets that initial hand on the ball. Right here, might not be directly on the ball, but above the ball. Right here, this is important. Chanel sees that. He's like, okay, I'm going to take advantage of that, and I'm going to get my big old bear paw in there, and I'm going to try to rip the ball out. And the combined effort of these two, with Pennell's hand, which kind of migrates south as the play goes on, and then Chanel's elbow, you can kind of see it like right here. It's difficult to tell when I'm trying to do it in a still frame, but his elbow and Pennell's big old bear paw end up knocking this ball loose, and, George Karlaftis recovers, etc. We saw it. I'll try to replay that real quick, just that little part, to see if I can't make the fumble clearer. No, it's not going to work, but you get the idea. These two both get put in really disadvantageous situations on this play. They recover beautifully, force a fumble, get Kansas City the ball back, and I think they got a field goal off of this. I can't quite remember, but I'm pretty sure they converted this into points. So, big win for the defense there. All right, this play does not have nearly as much going on. It's a lot easier to explain, so this explanation won't be as long. But we've got 12 personnel once again. We've got McCaffrey as our single lead back. And then we've got two wide receivers in a bunch set here. Deebo Samuel's going to come across the line of scrimmage, take the handoff, and we're going to run the ball with Deebo, something the Niners do quite often. This play, we're all focused on Leo Chanel. Does Leo Chanel make the play himself? No. But he does what every good linebacker will do, and that's set up his teammates for greatness. So again, I'm going to let it run from this angle, and then when we get to the other angle, I will play it back so you can kind of get a better idea of what's going on. You can see everybody swarms to the ball there. Chanel was one of the first guys there. So again, Chanel with Spags' offense, or with Spags' defense, circle's horrendous. Please ignore it. He's the strong side backer, and he lines up as a pass rusher quite often. They like to send him at the quarterback. On this play, not so much. It's a run play, but he is in a pass rusher stance, right? Like an off-ball line, or not an off-ball linebacker, outside linebacker is what I was going for. An outside linebacker pass rusher, right? No hand in the dirt. So, this play here, in terms of blocking, Kittle and Juszczyk are both blocking down here. So it's going to be Kittle one-on-one with Chanel. Well, we just saw Chanel go one-on-one with the guard and win. So Kittle, as great as he is as a blocker, not exactly as tough as a guard, although with the 49ers offensive line, maybe that's too nice. So, Chanel does a great job of getting his hands in first. That's big. Being the first one to strike, playing aggressive on defense is huge. Now Chanel has all of the leverage, all of the control in this situation. His eyes are this direction, trying to see what's going on. He sees that handoff to Deebo. He's not falling for the bullshit of McCaffrey trying to fake them to think he's going to run the ball, in this gap, whatever. So that's huge right there. So we're going to see Chanel track Deebo all the way down. And Deebo tries to bounce this outside. His eyes are looking to the sidelines, so Chanel recognizes this, and he's seeing that Deebo wants to bounce this outside and loop around in some way. So what Chanel's going to do is he's going to drive George Kittle that direction. He's going to say, you're not getting out this way. I'm going to move your blocker because he has all of the leverage here, all of the power. I'm going to move this blocker in the direction that you want to go, and I'm going to force you to cut this back inside. And that is exactly what's going to happen here. He forces Debo to cut this back inside because he starts to kind of shed Kittle here. And because of that, Kittle has to recover. So Kittle goes from getting moved downfield to having to start to pursue in that direction to keep up with Chanel. So because of this, Debo starts to cut back, and he cuts right back into Willie Gay, one of the most sure tackler linebackers in football. Chanel's going to get in there too, end up helping on the tackle. We'll go ahead and play that in full speed. Just beautiful, beautiful discipline and, just the ability to recognize the run. Right here, this is kind of the frame that, tells the whole story. You've got Kittle on the outside of Debo, which is not what you want. You wanted to keep him in front of Debo, or more specifically, you wanted Debo to be able to loop this around Juszczyk here, who, by the way, is doing a fantastic job on his block. Shout out to Kyle Juszczyk, my boy. But because of this, he bounces him right into Willie Gay, or Nick Bolton, excuse me, the other more incredible linebacker on the Chiefs. Shout out to both of them, though. This linebacker core in Kansas City is incredible. But yeah, just beautiful, beautiful run defense there by Chanel in setting up his teammate. All right, this play, we're going to take a look at the third defensive player that I'm going to be highlighting, and that is Shamari Connor. This play isn't anything crazy, but it is a good example of what stood out about him, or what stood out from him in this game to me, and that is his instincts, his ability to read the offense, and his nose for the ball. He was at the ball constantly when he was on the field, and this is going to be a really good example of that. So first of all, taking a look at the 49ers, we're once again in 12 personnel, once again with Kittle and Juszczyk as your two tight ends. We've got McCaffrey as your lone back, and this time, instead of having your wide receivers on the same side of the field, they're split up. This is going to be a toss to the weak side of the field, which is, of course, the top of your screen. If you don't know what I mean by weak side, it's just the side of the field with less players on it. So this down here, because there's two tight ends, this would be the strong side, and then up here, because there's no tight ends on this side, it's the weak side, right? There you go. Fun fact. Learn a little something about football if you didn't already know. But what we're going to get here is Shamari Connor, who, as I said, this is going to be a run to the weak side. Shamari Connor's lined up over here on the strong side, so he's going to have to make it all the way across the field to be able to make a play on the ball here. So we'll go ahead and let this run. And again, we'll watch it from the other angle. So just the discipline here, seeing everything going on, getting in there, finishing the tackle. Big stuff there from the DB. This is the kind of stuff that a coach is going to love. The hustle, the intensity, the effort. For a guy who's a rotational DB on this team, you want that kind of stuff. And that is exactly what he gives you here. So we'll go ahead. Connor, immediately, his first step is to the weak side because that's the way the play is moving, following the flow of traffic, all that good stuff. He sees this ball go to McCaffrey, and he does a great job of staying behind the play. He doesn't get involved in any traffic. You can see the big thing here is this is supposed to be Kittle's block, which right here, number 94, who I'm not sure who that is off the top of my head. You'll have to excuse me. You've got him one-on-one with Juszczyk. Juszczyk's usually pretty good at handling defensive ends and, defensive linemen. On this play, however, he got a really good first step on Juszczyk because they shift their line at the last second. And because of that, that allows him to get that inside step, so Juszczyk has to pursue further inside. And because of that, Kittle's trying to kind of keep Juszczyk up, which Juszczyk's doing a fine job of staying up. Kittle doesn't really have to help. But their feet do get tangled. So that means Kittle's not quite able to hit his mark. And because Kittle's not able to hit his mark, Connor's able to just take off and end up finishing this tackle alongside Justin Reed, excuse me. And by the way, he puts a little bit of pop in that hit in here. Let's see if that'll show the pop in the hit. It won't. All right, my recording software is being goofy as hell. There you go. You see a little bit of the pop. But yeah, just a good heads-up play here. A great play by 94 here. I'll make sure to get his name and we'll shout him out too. Because like I said, this video is about the unsung heroes of the Chiefs, right? The players on their defense that aren't going to get talked about a whole lot. I know Leo Chanel's getting a good bit of attention, but listen, I got narratives to push. Okay, so let me be. Shamari Connor, Mike Pennell, they're not getting talked about, so I'm going to talk about them. but also number 94 here. And anyone else that I end up shouting out, just know, Chiefs don't want to ring without these guys, and that's the whole point of this video. All right, our next play here, we're taking a look at Shamari Connor again. This time we're going to see him successfully set the edge in the run game. But real quick, just to take a look at our personnel here, we've got 12 personnel from the Niners once again. Juszczyk almost playing like an H-back. And then we've got our 2 wide receivers split down here. We've got McCaffrey as our lead back. We're going to be running the ball to the top of the screen here. So let's go ahead and run this through real quick. Again, watch it from this angle, get to the end zone angle. That's where we'll do the bread and butter breakdown here. So you'll see Connor does a great job of, setting the edge there, setting up the play, and making the tackle, actually finishing the play. So what we're going to see here, once this ball is snapped, we'll pause and take a look at the blocking assignments here. So we bring Debo in motion, and the first thing of note, this side of the line is down blocking. This side of the line over here. So we're going to have Trent Williams take care of this guy. We're going to have the guard here step up. We have the center take care of Pinnell. This guard pulls across to take care of Dana. And then what the goal here is for Kittle to sell that he's blocking Dana. You want Kittle to sell this, and you see this with this little hezzy step he does. You see, he fires off the ball like he's going inside. And the idea here, before he turns his head, like right here, in this moment, you want Shamari Connor to think that he's about to be a free rusher, and he's going to have to get hit by Juszczyk or this pulling guard or whatever. And what's going to happen is Kittle's goal, because he's George freaking Kittle, is to actually spin and hit him in the mouth, right? Just absolutely pop him. This is a little DB compared to big old George Kittle. But Connor plays this perfectly, because instead of taking off, he kind of hesitates there for a second. And then when he sees what Kittle's doing, he follows the flow of the play. He's about to cut this down, but when he sees what Kittle's doing, he bounces and gets himself right, like face to face, toe to toe with Kittle. Which, by the way, this frame right here, this is badass. I don't know what it is, but something about like the intensity of this matchup right here, these two eye to eye, maybe a little intimate between these two. Maybe they look like they're about to go in for a kiss. But the point here is we've got Connor not falling for the bait, not falling for the bullshit that Kittle's trying to spew at him. And because of that, he does a great job of firing into Kittle and getting low. He makes sure he's the low man in this situation. And on top of that, we've got Nick Bolton here, who plays this absolutely beautifully. He's watching what's going on in the backfield the whole time, right? As you do as the off-ball linebacker in this situation. And once he realizes it's a handoff to McCaffrey, starts to bite down in this lane. And because Mike Dana gets picked up by this pulling guard here, Kittle has to block 2 guys at once. Kittle's put into a really difficult situation because Bolton does such a great job of filling the lane here. So because of that, he's blocking 2 guys at once. And Connor takes full advantage of that and kind of pushes himself off of Kittle and holds himself right here. This is sealing the edge. He's making sure that nothing can get out past him. This run has to go at him. That's what he's trying to force here. It's up to Kyle Juszczyk to pick him up. But because Justin Reed back here is pursuing to the outside, Juszczyk has to pick up the guy that isn't blocked. So Juszczyk has to take care of Reed here, which is going to leave this lane where we want McCaffrey to go completely clogged up by Shamari Connor. So McCaffrey's just going to have to say, you know what, screw it, I think I can take it. I think I can do it. And instead, Connor ends up slipping through, gets his arm around him, Mike Dana helps out, Nick Bolton helps out, everybody gets involved. But because of how well Shamari Connor sets the edge here and plays this run, and because of Nick Bolton's contribution too, don't get it twisted, these two both make this play, but Nick Bolton's the more notable name, so we're going to focus on Shamari Connor for the sake of narratives. This is a beautifully executed run stuff here. Just awesome stuff by number 27. All right, we got Shamari Connor one more time. Actually, there might be another play after this, but for a little bit, this will be our last Shamari Connor play for a few plays. This is actually going to be a passing play, so for anyone out there who thinks I talk about the run game too much, here you go. Real quick personnel breakdown. 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, 1 running back, 2 wide receivers. Juszczyk's going to break across, make this kind of a bunch thing. McCaffrey's going to come in, pass block, fake handoff, etc., etc. So we'll go ahead and let that kind of play out here. So the idea offensively, we'll run through that first real quick. The idea offensively, route-wise, so we've got McCaffrey coming up and across. He pass blocks. Debo runs out into the flat. We've got Juszczyk coming up, and he runs kind of like a wheel, or not kind of like a wheel route. He runs a wheel route here. And Ayuk, you want an intersection right about here. This is the key point. You want the congestion right here to set up Ayuk to get open. You want whoever is taking care of Juszczyk, or taking care of Ayuk here, to kind of run with Juszczyk. Then the idea is you get either Ayuk wide open here with nobody on him, or you get a linebacker on him. And that's initially what happens. You'll see when this play kind of starts here. You get that congestion. And the safety here that would be responsible for Ayuk ends up going with Juszczyk. So you've got McDuffie and Justin Reed here both on Juszczyk, which, by the way, God bless Kyle Shanahan. And God bless Kyle Juszczyk. There's not another fullback ever that would demand this kind of attention in the passing game, to the point where like you actually have to respect him on a wheel route. So now you've got Ayuk, in theory, running wide open here, right? You've got him one-on-one with Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton, great linebacker. He's not keeping up with Ayuk. So Ayuk should be butt booty naked, wide ass open, right? But what ends up actually happening is Shamari Connor reads this like a damn book. So very early on in the play, just for reference here, what it looks like this is supposed to be is like a cover 3 where these two drop back. Connor takes the middle of the field. He's supposed to come down and play a zone here. But when Snead here realizes that no one on this side of the field runs a route, he just kind of like comes down. I didn't pay enough attention to Snead. Does he blitz? No, he just kind of steps down and then starts to fade back. So here you can see like clearer. This is supposed to be a cover 3 here with the two corners and Connor here. But what's so beautiful about Connor is once he realizes that there's not going to be anyone on this side of the field, his attention is fully on the left side. And because of that, he's able to pick up very quickly very, very quickly early on in the play what's going on here with this little mismatch, mismatch is the wrong word, this traffic, what they're doing here. I don't know how I got those two words mixed up there. I'm doing great today. But essentially because of that, he's able to jump on this route quickly, pick it up, and where Purdy wants to throw this ball is right here. Oh, no, sorry. A little bit earlier. He wants to let this rip like right here. Because again, if Connor's facing this way or he's playing deep, you want to hit Ayuk like in this area of the field. Because right here, in theory, this DB's facing the other way. He's one-on-one with the linebacker. He should be wide open in this general area. But because Connor has his eyes there and Purdy sees that, he can't do anything about it. So he has to hesitate to let this rip. And that allows the pass rush to get a little bit closer. You see the congestion right here, double teaming this guy, but he's still getting pressure. So Purdy lets this rip where he thinks it's going to be Ayuk versus Connor one-on-one downfield. And because he hesitates and because Ayuk hesitates, Ayuk kind of stops himself right here. There's a little bit of hesitation because Shamari Connor steps in. He's not able to get up underneath of this ball, and it ends up being incomplete instead of being a wide open touchdown to Ayuk. So just a really good instinctual play. Really a testament to how good in coverage Spags' defenses are, how creative they can be, even despite Kyle Juszczyk via Kyle Shanahan doing some really creative shit. It doesn't really matter because of how well Spags and more specifically Shamari Connor are able to defend the play. All right, I know I said we were talking about 3 players in this video, but surprise, you get a bonus 4th player for 1 play and 1 play only, and that's Felix Anudike-Uzomah, the former 32nd overall pick in Kansas City this past year. Kansas City's last first-round pick, who, if I'm not mistaken, this might be the only play he made all year. If I'm wrong, please let me know, because I'm not like preying on this dude's downfall. I want him to be good. I liked Uzomah coming out of Kansas State quite a bit, but I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. You can tell from these videos I'm not perfect. I stutter. I forget words. I'm not perfect at explaining things, although I eventually do get to the point. But anyways, point of this play. Let's take a look here. First of all, we'll let it snap so you can kind of see what the blocking's looking like here. So the most important thing you got to notice is we're down blocking. Our guard here, our tackle here, Kittle, we're down blocking. So we're trying to wash our guys down this way. Trent Williams is blocking outward here, and then these two are doing their thing. The idea here is we want McCaffrey through this lane right here. Because of that, naturally, you're blocking down on Uzomah. That's why we established that. But Uzomah does something that they're not expecting. He steps inside. Look at that. He steps the opposite direction the tackle's going. He's like, oh, fuck. He's got to make up for that, and he's just not quick enough. Uzomah's a quick ball player. Like, right here, this is like, the infamous soundbite. It's at this moment he knew. He fucked up.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
And it's like right here. This point right here is the epitome of that, because Uzomah's getting through. This tackle, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He is not good enough. He is not quick enough to get to Uzomah. So all he's got to do is get in the backfield and wrap up. And he's good enough to do that. So you can see, I said this in my Milton Williams video. If you see a tackle get made and there's an offensive lineman in the vicinity, or more specifically, with his hand on the back of the defensive lineman making the tackle, his ass got beat. And that is exactly what happened here. So just a really good job by Felix Anudike-Uzomah, stepping into the lane, bringing down McCaffrey, making Colton McKivitz. That's his name. Colton McKivitz, the offensive tackle. He got beat. He fucked up. And Felix Anudike-Uzomah was able to capitalize on it on this play. All right, now we're getting into some of that Miller football bread and butter here. We've got Mike Pennell. That's who we're going to be taking a look at here. We're just going to see a good old-fashioned run stuff. Some good stacking and shedding from a big boy on the defensive line. So real quick, let's let Kyle Juszczyk get settled. We'll take a look at the personnel we're dealing with here. So we've shifted from 12 personnel. We're into 21 personnel. That's obviously signified by 1 tight end, 2 backs. The best formation, or the best personnel package in all of football, obviously. But worth noting here, Debo's at halfback, McCaffrey's lined up at wide receiver. They're going to try to run the ball with Debo between the tackles, and Mike Pennell doesn't have any interest in letting them do that. So we'll go ahead and let this run real quick. Bring McCaffrey in motion. Pennell, great job. Stack, shed, tackle. Beautiful stuff for a minimal gain. Take a look at it from the other angle to get a better idea. And I love that we're looking at it from the offense's perspective, like with the defense facing towards us, because you can really see the eye discipline from Pennell here. So as this ball is snapped, immediately lunge into the chest of the opposite guard. Hand placement's going to be big here, which he does a great job of getting his hands inside. Eyes immediately in the backfield. You can see he's trying to look where this ball is going to be handed off. He knows it's probably going to Debo in this situation. So he's just kind of toying with the lineman, and then he tosses him and wraps up. I mean, this is a grown man stacking and shedding right here. Like, he does a great job of just tossing him to the side. He about throws him into the next level, it almost looks like here. And obviously, because Juszczyk's taking out the defensive end here, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, it's one-on-one Debo versus Mike Pennell. And look, this is like, oh my God, that's a work of art right there. His arm up like that, staring down Debo. Again, I wish there was a way for them to get really good pictures, like, between the tackles mid-play. Because this would be like a top 10 hardest image of all time. His arm up there like that, staring down Debo, ready to just absolutely engulf him. And, of course, Chris Jones gets in there, too. That can't feel good, getting tackled by Mike Pennell and Chris Jones at the same time. That's got to hurt. But anyways, just beautiful stuff there by number 69. Let's go ahead and get back to the guy this video was initially supposed to be about, Leo Chanel. Leo Chanel. I'm going to call them both throughout this video. Again, like I said, I'm not perfect. But let's go ahead, take a look here. So we've got the Niners in 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, 1 running back, 2 wide receivers here. And this is going to be a bootleg, fake the handoff here with Brock Purdy, running the bootleg, as you do. Or at least it seems that way. Maybe that wasn't the intention, but it kind of becomes a bootleg. We'll run it here, and I'll be able to tell a little bit better. No, it definitely was not supposed to be a bootleg. So it's not designed to be a bootleg, but Leo Chanel made it a bootleg. And that's kind of the downfall of this play. So we'll let this run through real quick, and then we'll check it out from the other angle. So Leo Chanel, he just ruins the play. There's no play because of Leo Chanel here. So Chanel's going to blitz. As I said, he does that quite often. And with the way the protection ends up, he goes untouched. And because he's ran a 4.5, I think, a 4.5 something as a 250-pound linebacker, fucking crazy. But because he's that fast, he's able to get himself into the backfield quickly and completely disrupt this play. So he gets lost in the sauce here. I mean, George Kittle is running a route here. Trent Williams is playing this wide, waiting for Mike Dana. There's just no one, I mean, literally no one to take care of Chanel here. They don't have a chance in hell. This is a beautifully designed blitz by Spags. That little hezzy step there, too, to make sure he goes completely untouched. It's beautiful stuff. Just absolutely beautiful. And Chanel, of course, like I said, he ran that 4.5. He's able to chase Purdy down. Doesn't get the sack because Purdy does a great job at just getting that shit out of there. But he was real close to forcing a pick or getting a sack. So, incredible job there by number 54. All right, so if the last play was an example of Leo Chanel and Spags cooking, this is an example of Leo Chanel and Chris Jones cooking. So Chanel's obviously who we're focusing on here. It's going to be a passing play from the 49ers. We've got them in 12 personnel, 2 tight ends set. Got McCaffrey as the lone back. We've got a receiver here. And we've got Juwan Jennings who's going to come across here. And then when the ball's snapped, he's going to come back across. Purdy's going to run a bootleg here. And the big key to this play, before we even talk about Leo Chanel's contributions, Chris Jones, he gets the initial block. But because 68 is tasked with blocking to this side of the field, Chris Jones gets left unblocked. And Purdy is supposed to try to get this out to McCaffrey rather quickly. Like the blockers are set up for it. You've got Juszczyk here, and he can take care of this DB downfield. Like this should have been a big gain to McCaffrey. For all intents and purposes, this should have been a huge play. But because Chris Jones is there by the time Purdy's able to set his feet, he doesn't have a chance in hell because you want to hit Purdy, or you want to hit McCaffrey right about here. And Purdy's doing the tango with Chris Jones at this point. So that play's going nowhere, right? So he's got to kind of run around, figure out his way, scramble drill, or not a scramble drill, but the play's broken down. Got to find somebody, got to get that ball out. Throws it real quick to Juwan Jennings, but who's there? It's Leo Chanel to take care of the play. So we'll look at this from Chanel's perspective here. So Chanel is just tasked with playing his zone. He commits to the run early on. When there's no run to commit to, he does a great job of looping back out and just kind of sitting in his zone out here. I think he gets that deep. Does he get that deep? He does. Yeah, so he's just playing his zone here. You know, if Juwan Jennings were to step up, then, you know, if Juwan Jennings were to run a route that would have him step up, he's got it covered. If this ball was thrown to Ayuk, he can drop back and help out with the tackle. Like, he's in a good spot here, right? He's playing his zone well. But because we've got these two dancing the tango, Chanel's just got to play smart. And when he realizes what's going on, he realizes that Karlaftis over here is going to ditch Juwan Jennings. It's all up to him. This is Chanel 101 with Juwan Jennings. And he hits Jennings before he even knows what the hell's happening on the play. He has to change his angle of pursuit because Jennings kind of drifts out further towards the sideline. This is just a beautiful play. And again, Chris Jones does the heavy lifting, but Chanel does a great job playing cleanup, The instincts, the awareness of what's going the instincts and the awareness of what's going on, as if they're not the same thing. And also his, his nose for the ball, and what's the word I'm looking for here? His pursuit angle. His pursuit angle on this play is perfect. He plays his zone really well. It's just a really well executed play by pretty much everybody on the Niners defense, but really Chris Jones and Chenal are the two big names here. Just real quick, this tackle again. Beautiful stuff. Wrap him up in open fields. Juwan Jennings is not an easy guy to take down. So that's a big play, once again, by number 54. All right, here we're going to watch Shamari Connor in coverage again, but this time he's going to be manned up. We're going to watch him manned up on George Kittle do a really good job. So real quick, Niners 11 personnel this time, actually. One tight end. We've got 3 receivers. McCaffrey is your lone back. In terms of routes, we've got Ayuk running across the field. We've got Kittle running a bit of a wheel. And then these two, I believe it's something along these lines. These two don't matter. What they do, I don't care. Truth be told, this play is made on the left side of the field. So what we're going to see here is Kittle, when he runs this wheel, hezzies a little bit, right? So first of all, Shamari Connor kind of creeps up. He's manned up on Kittle. We see there's a little bit of space right here between him and Kittle wants to take advantage of that space. You'll see right here. And he steps inside to get Connor to bite inside so he can get outside leverage. He wants outside leverage, throw him up a 50-50 ball. He's confident he can beat Connor. And he actually gets a step on Connor right here. But Connor does a great job recovering. He keeps up with him, keeps up with him, keeps up with him. And because he's stride for stride with him, Purdy ends up putting this ball a little bit too high. There's a little bit of hand fighting going on here. And if Connor wasn't able to stick with Kittle, if Kittle hits this hezzy move right here and creates more separation, or if Connor doesn't recover right here, it's a touchdown. And if not a touchdown, it's a big ass gain, because we know Kittle is legit on an open field, right? So Purdy lets this rip under pressure right here, where he thinks Connor's going to get beat. Connor recovers, keeps up with him, stride for stride, stride for stride, stride for stride, and the ball lands in front of the two of them. Incomplete. Just beautiful coverage there by number 27 against one of the better receiving tight ends in football. All right, we'll keep this one brief. This is just Mike Pennell being stronger than the guy across from him. Simple as that. We'll let it run, and then we'll check it out from the end zone angle. That's how we'll break it down. Real quick, just for consistency, Niners, 21 personnel this time, 2 backs, 1 tight end, 2 wide receivers out here. They're going to run the ball with McCaffrey, as you do out of 21 personnel. I said 12 personnel. They've run so much 12 personnel that they've got me stuttering on my own freaking personnel package. So anyways, Pennell takes on the guard. Stack and shed, tosses them. Oh my God. I was wrong. He doesn't take on the guard. He takes on Trent freaking Williams. This play just got 10 times more impressive in real time. Hold on. How did I not notice that at first? Okay. So, real quick, we bring Kittle across. We down block. And we've got Pennell up against Trent Williams. Pennell gets low on Trent Williams. Hands in the chest. Once again, hand placement is key. Hands in the chest right here. And because of that, he has the leverage in this situation. He's reading the backfield. He's watching what's coming with McCaffrey. Use check. Tries to help out a little bit, but he doesn't get a chance to. He wants to chip block right there. But at that point, Trent Williams is already getting fucking mauled. And because of that, we're able to wrap up McCaffrey. I mean, that's... Oh my God, that's a grown man play, dude. Bitching Trent Williams like that, getting him standing straight up, off balance, putting him in the dirt, and then grabbing his running back. Oh my God, that's the play you tell your grandkids about, dude. Against Trent Williams in the Super Bowl? Oh my goodness. That is literally the play you tell your grandkids about. That's beautiful stuff right there. I went into this just because it was impressive nonetheless. I thought he was up against the fucking guard. And here he is against Trent Williams. Mike Pennell, you never cease to amaze me, you big, beautiful bastard. Alright, here we've got Pennell and Chanel both getting to Christian McCaffrey on this play. Real quick, just again for consistency, this time we've got the 49ers in 22 personnel. 2 tight ends, a fullback, a running back. We've got Chris Conley out here, who made a name for himself in the Super Bowl as the lone wide receiver. It's going to be a run to the right side here. So we'll go ahead and take a look here. Beautiful stuff by both guys, but in particular, I'm really impressed with Chanel, and we'll talk about why that is when we actually run the play from the end zone angle here. So we'll start with Mike Pennell, just because I'm more excited to talk about Chanel here. Not that Pennell didn't do awesome on this play as well. But this center, or this guard, no, it's the center, excuse me. He's small, so he tries to go low on Pennell. Well, Pennell kind of absorbs that contact, and because he's such a massive human being, and he's such, his legs are so strong, his anchor's so incredible, he's able to absorb that contact and just kind of run past this guy, the block shed right here, wrap McCaffrey up, and then Chanel helps out. Nick Bolton hops on top too. This is just, he's bigger, he's better, he's stronger. We already saw him do that to Trent Williams. So if he's doing it to Trent Williams, he can do it to anybody on this fucking offensive line. Because no one on this offensive line is nearly as good as Trent Williams. So then we get to Leo Chanel. And this is where it's fun. So he's lined up as your strong side backer here. Almost like an edge rusher. I've made that comparison already. And he's going to engage with the tight end right away. So everybody's down blocking. Except for Trent Williams, who's just kind of playing mediator there. I don't know what the hell he's doing. I'm sure he's doing, it's Trent Williams, so I'm sure there's some method to that madness. I guess he's kind of double teaming over there, and then he splits, picks up the linebacker, tries to double. Okay, and Trent Williams is doing his thing over there. We're not here to talk about Trent Williams. We talked about him on the last play. So Leo Chanel here, he goes up against this tight end, hands up, he makes first contact. Hands in the chest, eyes in the backfield. That's what we want to see. So, hands in the chest, eyes in the backfield. He's watching, he's waiting for this handoff. He takes the momentum that this tight end is giving him, bounces himself off, and starts to make his mark towards McCaffrey. Guess what? He's got to deal with Kyle Juszczyk now. Best fullback in the business. One of the best fullbacks of all time. Juszczyk gets his hands on Chanel before Chanel can get a hand on him. But Chanel takes advantage of the situation of McCaffrey being forced out wide by Mike Pennell. And because he's forced out wide, Juszczyk has to go pick up somebody else. And Chanel's able to come in with Pennell and finish up the play. So Mike Pennell slipping through here forces Juszczyk to kind of shift his focus, and then also forces McCaffrey outside to a point where Juszczyk can't block Chanel anymore, because if he kept blocking him, it would be a hold. Juszczyk's smart. He doesn't want to draw the hold. So instead, we get these two meeting at the running back, making the big play. Mike Edwards letting everybody know it's 4th down. I should mention that was a run on 3rd down. Pretty big play. But yeah, just good run defense by these two once again. Here's a first and quite possibly an only time occurrence here on the channel. Taking a look at an extra point here. Obviously, this is like one of the biggest points of the game. Jake Moody's blocked extra point. You're going to see this gets blocked. Shamari Connor ends up picking it up. But if you don't already know, the man who blocked this extra point, we'll talk about in just a second. So Shamari Connor picks it up, blah, blah, blah. Check it out from the other angle here. Right here. Our boy Leo Chanel gets his hand in there and is the first one to make contact with it. From what I can tell, it hits off 2 different hands, but Chanel does make that initial contact, at least from what I can see. And I'm 99.9% sure he got credited with the blocked extra point. 99.9% sure. So he runs up, engages with the offensive lineman, and you can see this hand right here slowly creeping up. It's kind of hard to see, but that right there, that's your hand. That's the hand that blocks the extra point. Move it up a little bit more. Right about here, it hits off of his hand and then hits this hand and rolls out. And there is your blocked extra point analysis from me. Because that's all there is to it. A hand just got in there. Good push. Gets the hand up. Big dubs. Moment he can tell his kids about one day. All right, real quick, Leo Chanel play here. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this one. Just another example of him taking on 2 blockers and getting the ball carrier. Granted, McCaffrey gets a solid gain on this one. Real quick, got that 12 personnel, 2 tight end, 1 running back, 2 wide receivers off to the left side here, just for consistency. But we'll let this play out, check it out from the end zone angle. But basically, Chanel goes from all the way, washed down by 4 blockers to making this tackle. And again, even though McCaffrey gets a solid gain on the play, it's still an impactful play, potentially touchdown saving play. And I just love the intensity and the hustle and the effort from Chanel in this play. So you're going to see right away, offensive line is down blocking, which they want McCaffrey to hit this hole here. So we've got Chanel. He is engaged with George Kittle right away. But don't get it twisted, as per usual. Eyes in the backfield, watching McCaffrey. He sees McCaffrey make that initial cut back that way. He's heading that way too. But unfortunately, he's got a big man in front of him. Got a real big offensive line in front of him, or offensive lineman in front of him, that he's going to have to take on head on. He absorbs that contact, gets his shoulder into, or his hand first and then his shoulder into the chest of the offensive lineman. And because he has such a good anchor, he does get pushed down a little bit, but he's able to set his feet here, slip through the block, and hit McCaffrey and then wrap him up. Again, it's a big game by McCaffrey, but I just love the effort from Chanel here. Run it back in full time so you can see what I'm talking about. He takes on Kittle, and then after taking on Kittle, takes on this offensive lineman. And my recording software is going to be a bitch, so we're going to have to run it back slow-mo again. But anyways, takes on the lineman. McCaffrey runs into him, starts to fall over, and then he finishes the tackle. Just, again, another good high-effort play by one of the best run defenders in all of football. And our final play here. This is an overtime. We're going to take a look at Mike Pennell here to wrap us up. Just really good run stuff on his part. Real quick, for consistency, 1 running back, 1 tight end, 2 wide receivers over here, and a little bit of 11 personnel. So go ahead and start this play up here. So they're going to motion Debo across, and then the offensive lineman's down, or the offensive line is down blocking. Pennell's eyes are in the backfield. He is not concerned with this guard right here that's going to try to take him on one-on-one. Pennell's going to do a great job of getting his hand onto the lineman before he can get a hold of him. And Pennell, again, because he has such a strong lower half, is able to keep his feet moving despite this guy pushing against him. He gets that hand into his chest, and now this lane that McCaffrey wants, Pennell's got a free lane into it. He's got his hand on this lineman. He's not doing anything to him. This guy, basically irrelevant for Pennell. He's just holding him upright. He's leaning on him right now. And when McCaffrey hits this hole, Pennell is going to attack. And that is exactly what happens here through a beautiful run stop. Now, McCaffrey does try to avoid it by running into this guard and Tershawn Wharton instead. Shout out to him. But Pennell closes up the lane and, makes it so McCaffrey can't get through. And he gets in there on the tackle. So, again, just really good run stuff there by number 69. Love the lower body strength. Love the discipline. Love the commitment. It's funny whenever you see a lineman with his hand kind of waving around out there, but not quite a hold. Just really, the offensive lineman isn't quite holding him. And Pennell just does a really good job of getting his hand in there and getting to the ball carrier. And that's going to do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to leave a like down below. As I said earlier on, it helps out the channel a ton, shows your support, shows your care, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. And also make sure to subscribe for more NFL content coming your way. I already gave you the rundown at the beginning of the video. Tons of film reviews. We've got Madden videos, NCAA football videos when that game drops. We'll be talking about the draft, all that good stuff. Just a bunch of great football content coming your way for the foreseeable future. And also make sure to comment down below. Tell me what you thought about this film review. Were there any guys that I overlooked? Are there any players you'd like to see me talk about, anything like that, just let me know down in the comments below. But thank you so much for watching. If you made it to this point in the video, I really appreciate it. And to everyone out there still watching, I hope you all have a wonderful day, evening, night, afternoon, whatever time of day it is for you. I hope you enjoy it because you're all wonderful people and you deserve it.
Had a chance on the throwback.
This was an ill-advised throw. What an unbelievable catch by Cole Kmet. And he cups it too. No movement when he hits the ground, tucked up against his shoulder. Wow.
Using that